Hello and welcome to the Distinctive Dummies channel. In this episode we're going to cover the Without Warning bust by We Make Monsters on Patreon. This bust was designed by Pablo Valenzuela and comes printed in two pieces. I printed this at 170% scale to get a nice size on my Anycubic M3 Max. The bust consists of the main creature from Without Warning and a nice rocky diorama base, complete with his flying blood-sucking discs. Without Warning was a 1980 film with quite a good cast. It starred Jack Palance, Martin Landau, Neville Brand, Larry Storch, and a young David Caruso. It was made in 1980 and was about an alien who used rural America as his hunting grounds. I believe it's where they got the idea for Predator from, as it preceded Predator by 7 years. Okay, so what we're going to do first, we will prime the bust. The head I will prime in Style and Res blue-grey, with his torso in Style and Res dull pink. This should give a nice undercoat for the colours to be used on the figure. The base I will just prime in Rattle Can Grey. I'm not sure where I'm going with the base yet, but it's got a nice rocky texture and has, like I say, the flying aliens on the side, so should be able to get a good bit of detail in this. So what we will do now, we will take these over to the airbrush station and get priming. Okay, to prime, I'll use my spray gunner airbrush, which has a 5mm needle, which is quite handy for using the Badger Style and Res, as it's quite a thick paint. So what we'll do, we'll give this a good shake. We'll put some in the cup. Do a little test spray. Okay, now we're ready. If my voice gets a bit muffled, it's because I've got to put a mask on, obviously for health and safety reasons. I'll just put some suction in there, so it might be a bit noisy. Okay, that will be a perfect colour for his skin tones. I will just clean out the airbrush and then we'll spray his body with the red-pink colour. Okay, we're all loaded up with the red-pink colour. I set my airbrush for the Style and Res at about 30 psi. And it seems to flow quite nicely at that, but let's go. Okay, so that's the figure all primed up. Not a long job. Don't worry too much about the overspray around his collar because that should add a bit of shading, natural shading, when we come to put the main colours on. I will take his main base outside and give that just a coat of acrylic rattle can primer, and then we will be back and we will work out which colours to use. Okay, so now we're all primed up. I've been through the paints and I thought this would be a good chance for my first use of the Pro Acryl range. So for his head, I plan on doing a base coat with the grey blue, going in with a shading with a dark grey blue, and using the flanker blue for some of the highlights. I've also got the white out to mix with some of these colours to see if I need a bit of lighter shading somewhere. For his clothing, I plan on Vallejo Game Air leather brown for his collar, and either a yellow ochre or a golden brown for his actual tunic. I've also got a bit of light umber out and some transparent brown for additional shading on his clothing. The base I'm still undecided yet, but I'm guessing I'll do the flying disc aliens in a flesh tone initially before brush painting the base. So let's get to the airbrush and see how we go. Okay, so I've mixed the Pro Acryl Grey Blue with some airbrush thinner and a drop of flow improver. So let's see how this Pro Acryl sprays. Drop the power down, the airbrush power down to about 20 psi. Okay, I'm happy with that base coat. It still has some of the primer showing through, but because it was blue it adds a bit more depth to it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add a bit of white to the grey blue and just give it its first coat of highlights. Okay, so I've added some white, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot down at an angle just to catch the top of the head initially, and same with the back, just where the natural light would catch. So let's go. Oh, by the way, today I'm using my Iwata HPCS. This, I have to admit, I've been using one of these for 13 years and it's probably the best all-round airbrush you will find. So, let's go. That has added enough subtle highlights, I think. So what we will do now is we will clean the airbrush out and then we will go in with a bit of dark blue grey for some shading. So I've thinned down a bit of dark grey blue And what we will do is we will just go into the areas where natural shading would occur. I won't worry too much about a bit of overspray because I've got to go in with a highlight and a blending coat yet. So, power. Okay, that's starting to look nice. Okay, we will clean the airbrush out again, and then we will go in with the Vallejo Flanker Blue model air paint and just be a bit more precise on the highlights around the cheeks, on the struts coming on his forehead, on the bridge of his nose, top of his nose and his chin. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, like I say, we're just going to go in and gently highlight the raised areas, starting on his forehead. Now is we'll take them over to the brush painting station and we'll put a bit of detail in there with some pastel chalk before coming back and giving it a light misting in its original colour to bring it all together. So I'm going to grind up some blue pastel on a bit of sandpaper and I'm just going to detail in the folds of the alien skin. So I'll apply it with one brush and I'll blend it in with another. So what we will do now, we will go back and we will give that a dust of the original blue-grey colour just to bring it all together. So we just have the original grey-blue colour is all, and we'll just give it a slight dusting. Nothing much, just to bring the colours together. Okay, I think that will be enough. Okay. I'm going to paint the inside of his mouth now and dry brush the inside of his eyes. For the mouth, I'm going to use these Thai tone paints, which I believe you can only get currently in Thailand at the moment, but they've got a great colour selection and they're really good for brush painting. The only problem is they are written in Thai names. So this colour is Dang Mani and this colour is Tawakiao. Okay, so first we'll start with his mouth. Okay, this stuff dries pretty quickly, so I'll go in and do the teeth in a minute. It's quite handy having the sink next to me for this. Okay, so I'll use this small brush and I brush most of it off on my clothes and then just gently lighten the eyes with hardly any paint. We'll go back in later with a blue wash to get in the recesses. Okay, when I go in with a blue wash, that'll bring that down. For his teeth, I'm going to quickly use a Vallejo Ivory for now. If I can find it. I've got that many paints, sometimes they go wandering. Okay, it's over here. And now I will bring his teeth out in ivory. Hopefully the red should be dry by now. Touch more on that one. What I'll do is I'll wait till that dries and then I'm going to put a little bit of a wash over there so they don't look so bright. And the same with the eyes, I'll use a blue wash for the eyes. So we've got the Vallejo blue wash. I'm just going to mix that with a touch of water because it's too rich else. Okay, first I'm going to put some on his bottom lip just to bring it out a bit. It doesn't need much, just a... And then in his eyes. Just to get in the recesses. Okay, and then I'm going to use a Vallejo skin wash. This is a Vallejo ink, just to put some stain to his teeth and to fill in the recesses between the teeth. This stuff can be super strong because it's an ink. So we might have to add a bit more water as we go along. Okay, I think that's perfect. Okay, and we'll just do another little touch of blue on the lips. It should mix in right over. Okay. What I will do now, I'm going to mask the face, let that dry, mask the face off, and then we can get to going on the clothes. Okay, so I've masked off his head to prevent any overspray, and I've loaded the airbrush up with Vallejo leather brown, and we're just going to do his collar now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a bit of highlighting. And for that, I'm going to use Model Air Sand Yellow. I hope this is still okay because it's been lying around for quite a while. I just need to grab some mixing cups, 1 second. Okay, so we'll just, don't need a lot of this, so we'll just add, okay, there doesn't seem to be any major clumps in there. 1 drop of Flow Improver, and a couple of drops of thinner, because we don't want it too thick. Give it a mix with a brush. Okay, it flows down the sides quite easily. So that should be fine. We put a drop in the brush. Okay, I'm hoping this is light enough to give some shading. Okay, not sure if you can pick that up on the camera, but it's some very subtle highlights. I may go over that. I'll see what it looks like once we put the shadows in. So again, we'll empty the airbrush. hot soapy water. Empty. Wipe out. And straight through. Now we will put some Pro Acryl transparent brown in a little bit of the shadows. You can see it's just got some little shadow areas in there. So, Pro Acryl brown, transparent brown. It's a new bottle, so bear with me. If you're using this, make sure you put the sealer back in the bottle. Okay, this is quite thick, so we need 1 drop of flow improver and some thinners. Okay, now we have it. Okay. We'll clear that out. Hot water. I hope it works with the Pro Acryl range. I haven't tried it yet. Oh yes, lovely. I'm normally more organised than this, but it's very hard to try and video at the same time as paint. up the pressure. Okay, now we're just going to dust the original colour. Just gently, not too much, just to bring it a bit together. Plus we're going to try and dry brush that a bit later as well. So, on with the power. Just to tone it all down a little. Okay, I quite like that. So I need to give that a couple of hours to dry, so I can apply some masking to it before we paint the tunic. So what we'll do in the meantime, we'll start painting the flying disc aliens on the side of the base. The plan is with those is to go with a bit of a flesh tone. Maybe add a bit of a spatter effect and a few washes into the detail. Okay, so I've pre-thinned some pro-acryled tan flesh, warm flesh and shadow flesh. So let's see what we can do on the flying discs. We will start with the tan flesh. What we will do now is we will be going between the digits and get the ends done with some shadow flesh. Okay, where I rested it on the tray when it wasn't wet, I've sort of damaged it a bit there, but Hopefully the highlight and what happens next should cover that. What I will do is, the needle's starting to clog a little, so I'll just spray a little Windoline, grab a little tissue and gently, okay, here we go. Now we will go to the warm flesh. To add some highlights to the digits. Okay, now we'll give our airbrush a bit of a clean, because we're moving on to the spatter effect. I've mixed some paints with some water to create a very thin spatter wash. I've used yellow, blue, red and sepia. So what we'll do is we just dip it in the water and just get rid of the initial, and then we just spatter it on. I should have a cotton bud at hand really, just to get any big splashes. Okay, I'm not sure how much the camera picks up on this. Okay, so we started with the yellow, move round to the other side. You don't really want them too big, so it's just a case of making sure there's not too much spatter on the brush. Okay, now we will move on to the blue. The yellow is there, but I think you'll be able to see the blue more clearly. Okay, that's the effect I'm looking for. This is also a good method for adding detail to larger scale human faces. Not so much on the 8-inch Migo style. Okay, I don't know whether that picks up. As you've probably noticed, I'm one of the messiest painters. Look, big bits here. Should have a cotton bud really, but the little pinky seems to work okay. Okay, that's the blue. Now we'll start on the red. When you start adding the red, it really starts to bring it to life. Okay, and finally, the sepia. Sepia or any brown colour should suffice. I may have overthinned this one, but we will see. No, I think should be fine. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see what effect that's had, but what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to the first tan flesh colour and just gently dust them over to bring it all together. Drop the pressure down to 20. The tan colour we already made earlier, thinned it down. The idea is to make sure that the freckles and the specks we just put on look like they're under the skin. Okay, I'm very happy with that. I will seal that in a flat coat for when we do the base. I will leave his claws until I've done the base, because otherwise with my clumsy hands I'll end up with grey all over them again. So we'll leave that there. I'll seal these up and then we'll move on to the main fella's tunic. I've just put enough masking on him so it doesn't overspray onto the coat we've done earlier on his collar, and I've mixed up some Pro Acryl golden brown. Now we're going to do his tunic. What I'm going to try, and I mean try now, is I've got some sepia grey ink and I want to try and go under the shadows of where his collar would be and down the ropes. Not to colour the ropes, but more to give like a shadow behind them for when I brush paint them. I'm going to add a small drop of thinner to that, just to give it a mix. And drop the air pressure down to a little over 10. Test on the painter's thumb. Okay, as long as I don't apply too much pressure, we should be fine. I won't put the air on for this because it's maybe shoot a bit extra in these shadows here. Okay, we'll just go a bit under the tunic. Doesn't seem to spray, won't spray very well. Okay, we'll dust that now with the original colour just to bring it down a bit. Okay, I think once we paint the ropes, that should be subtle enough to give a nice effect. Okay, so I've took the masking off. So the next step will be to paint his ropes on his tunic. I've also quite happy how these will look once the base is painted. For the base, first I'm going to give it a full coat in Vallejo Stonewall Grey, game colour. And for the ropes I'm going to do this olive green colour by Titone with highlights in this other green colour by Titone. They are called Kiao Bai Kai and Mahatai. Rather than, as the brush painting can take quite a while, rather than have you hanging around while I brush paint, I'll finish this up with the base and a rope and I'll explain exactly what I've done at the end of the video. So after painting the base with the Vallejo Cold Grey, I went back to the airbrush, loaded up with Pro Acryl transparent black and shot in most of the shadows. I then dry brushed the whole base with various different lighter greys. For the face sucker tentacles, I painted a dark red and then highlighted with the lighter red just to give it the idea of reflection. The string, I used the two greens I mentioned earlier and then done a dark grey Vallejo wash. And for the nameplate, I used Vallejo Moon Yellow. I then sealed it all with a good flat coat just to protect it. Overall, I'm very happy with how it came out. It's a decent sized bust and should look great on my display shelf. The Pro Acryl paints painted perfectly through the airbrush. Probably the best paints I've used in a long time. So, that just about sums up this video. If you like what you see, please hit the like and subscribe button. And we'll be back soon. Thank you.